Hey everyone. Today I'm somewhere a bit different. I'm not in southeast Queensland, I'm in South Australia. Let's see how many birds are around here. Welcome to Adelaide Botanic Gardens, our first bird watching spot for today. This video is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be exploring a lot of bird watching locations around Adelaide. First will be a few spots in the urban environment, then we'll head to the bush, then we'll finish up with a few more spots along the coast. Our first species for this trip is the rainbow lorikeet. I've been told this fountain is one of the best places in the area for bird photography. The noisy miners here seem more aggressive than in Brisbane. This lot have been dive bombing and harassing the lorikeets and other birds while I've been filming. If you thought the rainbow lorikeet was colourful, the eastern Rosella takes it to the next level. We don't get this species in Brisbane. We have to drive at least an hour southwest to see them. It's hard not to love these. The colours are just so vivid. Let's check out the pond where we started. I can hear a few water birds already. Those screeches are Eurasian coots. Here are some Australian wood ducks, or maned ducks. What's this over here on the bank? It's a dusky moorhen, but it's a young one. Young ones don't have the red bill with the yellow tip, and it's missing the upright posture that swamp hens have. Back on the water we have a hardhead, also known as a white-eyed duck. The females have brown eyes and the males have white eyes. If you visit the Botanic Gardens, you should check out some of the displays. There are some really amazing plants here. You can't have birds without plants. Here are some Amazon water lilies. They're really massive. The base is surprisingly dense and covered with thorns. Okay, let's get back to the birds. Most Aussies should recognise this next species. It's the Australian magpie. If you're from other areas of Australia, you may notice something slightly off with this one. The magpies here have white backs. In other parts of Australia, they have black backs. Over on the other side of the lawn, we have the trusty galah. Oh, that was quick. Let's try our luck in these flowers. This is an eastern spinebill. This one's a young one. It hasn't got the bright plumage of the adult just yet. Okay, that was a quick preview of the birds in Adelaide Botanic Gardens. You could easily spend a few hours bird watching here. For now, we've got to move on. Let's check out another area close by. An easy and almost guaranteed place to see heaps of birds in Adelaide is here in Victoria Park. Google calls it Park 16. In the afternoons, there are often hundreds of corellas here, and you can get really close. Just don't get too close, they can bite. Let's have a closer look. These are all little corellas, but I feel there could be another corella species hanging around here. If you've seen my previous video on corella identification, you might remember that side-by-side corellas are easy to tell apart, but most of the time we don't get that opportunity. The main thing we want to look for is that orange band along the base of the neck. Those are long-billed corellas. You can also tell by the length of the bill, but that's always a bit hard to do when the bird's really far away. This park also has a few other species. At the moment, I can hear sulphur-crested cockatoo and musk lorikeet. We'll probably run into these later. For now, let's head over to the city. Here we are in a creepy alley. This isn't a special street known by bird watchers or something. It's just some random place where the car's parked. All around this block, I've been hearing this species. It's the New Holland Honeyeater. And it's in someone's balcony garden. Some people call this species the mustached honeyeater, mostly because it makes it easier to differentiate it from a similar looking species, the white-cheeked honeyeater. And up here I can hear another familiar bird. Let's zoom in. It's the spotted dove. This one's an introduced species. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I can't believe what we have right here. It's a pair of red-rumped parrots. We can get these in southeast Queensland, but they're rarely seen in cities. It's a real surprise to be seeing them here. It's a shame that we can only see the front. The red rump is only visible from the back. Oh, here we go. International viewers will know this little guy. It's a very vocal house sparrow. Well, this concludes our urban environment exploration. Tomorrow we're going to explore some bush areas and some coastal areas. Okay, it's sunrise the next day, and we're at Monarto Woodlands off Browns Road. It's 45 minutes drive east from Adelaide CBD. I can hear so many birds. I'll see if I can show you some. This species is really cool. These are varied Sitella. They usually forage upside down. They'll land on the top of a tree and then work their way downwards head first. If you look closely, you can see that their bills are tilted upwards to cater for this. This lot seem to be happy upright at the moment though. This bird hiding here is the Adelaide Rosella, which is technically a subspecies of the crimson rosella. Up next is a red wattle bird. They get that name from the red dangly wattles under their cheeks. They're a type of honeyeater. Well, that was a good start. Let's see what other birds are around here. Oh, I can hear an owlet nightjar. I thought it'd be a bit too bright for it to be calling now. I can hear something else closer. Can you hear that liquid-like sound? It's coming from this bird, the Spiny-cheeked Honeyeater. The stiff feathers on its cheeks are how it got its name. Remember those varied Sitellas earlier? How they work their way from the top of the tree and go downwards? Well, tree creepers do the opposite. They forage from the bottom and spiral upwards, as you can see here. Forgot to mention, this is a brown tree creeper. For most species of tree creeper, the females either have an orange spot near the ear or orange streaks on the throat. It's a bit hard to see here. I think this one's a male. Now this one's a bit tricky. You might think it looks like a golden whistler, but it's actually another species, the western whistler. The two species look almost identical. If you want to get into the nitty-gritty of ID, I've included a link in the comments on how to differentiate them. Here's one that's often heard but not seen. It's the grey shrike thrush. Their calls are one of my favourites across Australia. I hear the familiar call of a superb fairy wren. And I can see a bit of movement up in this tree. Up here is the elegant parrot. I'm not sure why it's more elegant than the other parrots, but there you go. This spotted Pardalote is staying surprisingly still. It seems to be looking for something. This species' song has a funny mnemonic. Miss Piggy, Miss Piggy. Or just, Piggy, Piggy. And over here we have a striated thornbill. Ah, too quick. I actually thought it was going to be a lot colder here, being in South Australia, but it's actually quite comfortable. This morning's weather's been really good. Here we have a southern white face. It has a black band above the eyes, and the rest of the face is white. This one's a lifer for me. The term lifer in birdwatching speak means you've never seen that species before in your life, so once you do, you tick it off your list. Then you move on to the next species. Do you recognise this call? It's more Pardalote goodness. This time we've got the striated. It looks like they're having a pretty interesting conversation. Let's check out a more drier section of this reserve. Do you hear that call? It's the grey currawong. Cling-cling, cling-cling. This species is often mispronounced. These are white-winged chough. If you say white-winged cough, most birdwatchers will know which species you're talking about anyway. They look similar to a crow, but when they're flying, the cough's white underwings really stand out. From a mostly black bird to a very colourful one. Here's the Australian ringneck. You might remember that we saw these in the previous video at Lake Comunda. It looks like it's trying to find berries and seeds. Okay, that's it for Minato Woodlands. We could easily spend half a day here, but we've got other places to go. Let's drive out to the coast. Okay, we're now here at Victor Harbour Beach. It's 1 hour drive south from Adelaide CBD, and also 1 hour from our last location. We're here to visit a special bird, but first I see a few gulls up ahead. Southern Australia has some different gulls, so let's see if there's any in there. These are silver gulls. Here's something different. This is the Pacific gull. We don't get this species up north. This species is often confused with the kelp gull. The kelp gull is a bit smaller, and the Pacific gull has a chunkier bill. I think most people will know this call. It's the masked lapwing, also known as the plover. I can see a few signs indicating the bird of interest could be here. And here we go. It's the hooded plover. This species is classified as vulnerable. The couple here are currently nesting, so this area has been roped off. Volunteers often monitor this area to educate and encourage beachgoers to avoid them disturbing the nesting birds. Hooded plovers only lay 2 to 3 eggs per breeding season. Once hatched, there's only a 50% chance that one chick will survive to maturity. So these birds need all the help they can get. We're going to move on to the next spot now, just 20 minutes down the road. We're now on Barrage Road, Goolwa. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I can see a lot of ducks and gulls out on the sandbank. Here's some a bit closer. Notice how the neck is white? This means it's a grey teal. Let's see what else is around here. It's a bit hard to see these birds because they're so far away. We've got some pied stilts, some more teals, and this looks like a great egret. I've got a closer bird right here on the bank. It's a white-faced heron. White-faced herons eat a variety of fish, frogs, small reptiles and insects. They have even been recorded eating small roadkill. Let's jump to the next spot. We've arrived at Gulwa Bird Hide. I can hear some birds singing, so let's check out outside first. Speaking of singing, this is the singing honeyeater. Ah, gone already. Gee, this next one's really going to test out my zoom. Here we have two species. The ones with the orange and dark faces are welcome swallows, and the bird in the middle and on the right, they're tree martins. Note that they have a white face and a white rump. Onto the hide. Oftentimes bird hides are placed in spots where there's no birds. Let's hope this isn't the case this time. This one looks like it's a good one. There's plenty here. This is a masked lapwing, or plover. Another one. A grey teal, and some pied stilts. I see something moving in the foreground. Ah, these are normally not out in the open. It's the little grass bird. I've never seen these up close till today. Hoary-headed grebes, in breeding plumage. In non-breeding mode, they can often be confused with the similar-looking Australasian grebe. This species can dive deep to forage at the bottom of the water. When the water's not clear or the lighting's poor, then they'll feed on the surface. Okay, we're finished with the bird hide. We'll see you shortly for the final section. It's a new day. We've got the morning to go bird watching, so let's make the most of it. We're here at St Kilda Beach. Yes, we're still in South Australia. It has the same name as the famous St Kilda in Melbourne. This St Kilda is 30 minutes drive north from Adelaide CBD. We've got a lot of species out on the mudflat. And our first one is the sooty oyster catcher. They're digging their beak into the mud to grab insects, crustaceans, and other goodies. As the name suggests, they can break open oysters with their strong beaks. I brushed over this species earlier. It's a silver gull. This one's immature. They have a black beak and legs, whereas the adults have bright red legs and beak. These are widespread across Australian coasts. The sun's trying to make its way through the clouds. I know most Aussies are familiar with this species. It's the Australian white ibis. This species was originally confined to inland wetlands. It's only because of development a few decades back that their wetlands dried up, so the ibis had to migrate. Then they had to learn to adapt to our suburban and urban environments. So that's why they're a common sight in food courts now. Can you see all those little black dots in the distance? Let's zoom in. That's a massive group of black swans. I think there could be a few hundred of them. In front of those swans, we have some Australian pelicans. I often underestimate the size of pelicans. I often think that they're not that big, but if you measure them from the tip of the beak to their tail, it's 170 centimeters, which is just under the average height of an Australian man. That call there is the little raven. They don't get crows down here. They do get the Australian raven, but that has a longer and deeper call. Who's this coming into land? It's a flock of banded stilt. They look similar to pied or black-winged stilts, but if you look closely, you can see a dark band across their chest. I went to see these in Western Australia last year, but I missed out on them. So these are a lifer for me. Can you hear that high-pitched screeching? It's a group of common starling. I know people consider these a pest because they're introduced, but I think their plumage is beautiful, especially when the sun hits it and you get this beautiful rainbow iridescence. Oh, these poor magpie larks are having difficulty with the strong wind. And they're gone. Okay, birding at St Kilda is complete. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I know this has been a long one. Let's wrap this up. Okay, the long weekend is coming to an end. You can easily spend a whole weekend bird watching around Adelaide. In the video description, I've included the eBird report of all the species seen this long weekend. And I've also included a map of all the locations you can visit when you come down here. Before we finish up, I'll leave you with one of my favourite birds from the trip. It's the beautiful scarlet robin. Thank you for joining me on this bird watching escapade around Adelaide. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe. Happy bird watching, and next time I'll see you back in Brisbane. Bye!